Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Leaders Uncut. It's wonderful to have you here again. And if it's your first time, welcome. I host a lot of incredible leaders and business people who use innovation, who use tech to do incredible things and change our lives for the better. And today, Scott Cannon is one of them. Scott is the CEO of BigRentz, and BigRentz is a procurement software company that Scott is going to tell us about and everything that he's doing to change our world. Welcome, Scott. How are you today?
I'm good, Catherine. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you. It's such an honor to have you here with us.
The pleasure's mine.
Yeah. So tell us about I'd love to hear about your background, first of all, and what led you to work with BigRentz. And then tell us really what is your unique selling proposition? What is your differentiator? And what is the service that you offer with BigRentz?
My background is in the logistics space. We used to work for a company called M&X that was a time-critical shipping location that we had supply chain around the world. So we had to learn how to move time critical or temperature, high value shipments from one place to the next relatively quickly for customers. In that, I learned the value of understanding the logistics behind a supply chain and understanding cost and procurement. And I sold that business in 2012 to a private equity company, and it took a second bite of the apple in 2018, and it sold subsequently a couple times, most recently to UPS. In 2016-17, the private equity company that invested in BigRentz asked me to come take a look at this. And I was amazed with the potential in the space. Construction's like logistics is the second or third largest industry in our economy, multi-trillion-dollar space, heavily fragmented, with a number of systemic problems that need solutions. And that attracted me to BigRentz. And at the time, BigRentz was an online marketplace, just trying to match supply and demand. So the company went out, pre-negotiated with a few thousand rental company suppliers across the United States and built a platform that people could come on and get a rental in a simplistic manner. From there, the company's grown up significantly. We're more of a procurement platform than we are sort of a marketplace today. And we're a multi-platform company with the marketplace, our BigRentz Plus product, and a product I can tease but can't talk about, where we're going to use our AI and our internal algorithms to basically help customers solve the problems themselves.
Okay, wonderful. So I can imagine that the rental world has been evolving a lot in the past few years because probably of a need of a variety of materials. I mean, can you talk about this? How is that looking? And are businesses in need to rent more versus owning? Can you mention that a little bit? I think that would be interesting to have this type of statistics and understanding.
So the rental industry has grown up in the last 20 years. They call it the rental penetration, or the amount of equipment that's sold to rental companies versus construction companies itself, and it's over 60%, and it continues to rise. And if you look at the United States, rental penetration is really relatively low compared to Europe and other places where rental penetration is much higher, 70, 80%. So there's a lot of space for the industry to grow. And there's been, 2 decades of consolidation. And if you look at the big companies that dominate the space, they're still relatively the same percentage they were 10, 15 years ago. They've grown from 35 to 40%. So you're looking at thousands of multi-generation mom and pop companies that are all over the place. In fact, the majority is 1 to 2 location, makes up about 60% of the industry.
Interesting. So for sure, I would imagine then that they would need to have a need for your solution. And you offer, it's national, right? You have national solutions. You can coordinate the needs of equipment all over the country. Can you talk about the process and also talk about, I know you have a software too that people can leverage. I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, so we're in 14,000 locations across the United States. It represents more than 6,000 different rental companies that are part of our network. And if you can imagine, they all have different ERP systems and different ways of doing things. Yeah. The challenge in construction is really understanding how much should I spend and who should I pick as a supplier and why. And that's really the questions that the solutions that we came up to challenges. And then our UI and our software is just the solution to basically hand that to customers. And the way it works today, we took 500,000 actual rental contracts and over 1 million opportunities and put it on a supervised learning AI platform to understand, all that history and what pricing really should look like. And we have a reinforcement sort of campaign that, when we do it better and buy cheaper or get better service, it values different suppliers in different manners. Yeah. And the way it sort of manifests today is if you go on our website and you put in a location and dates, the AI algorithm works in real time and looks at the dynamic price from where the job site's located to where the supplier is coming from. And it's really that relationship that cuts through all procurement at the end of the day. Supply chains is really about where things are coming from and how expensive it is to move it.
True. It's also very important how reliable it is, because my God, if a piece of equipment is not reliable, creates huge chaos. It also creates some issues with the branding and the recognition of the company that is actually using it. I mean, it's all about credibility here too, which is very important. So how do you deal with that?
Well, what's very interesting is most of our customers are on the specialty contractor side of the equation. If you took sort of a construction and split it in half, you have these large general contractors that do work all around the world. They're very profitable. And if you look at the other side of construction is all your electricians, your plumbers, your HVAC, all the specialty contractors. And the margins are relatively thin. If you look at construction, it's single-digit EBITDA numbers. And getting something to show up when it's supposed to be there, not too early, not too late, but just on time, is the difference between making money and losing money. And I think it's like 90% of construction projects are either late or over budget. And, about 1/3 of the work week is spent on non-optimal tasks. Cost just domestically here, the construction industry, about $177 billion a year. And that sort of inefficiency would be tolerated in no other industry. No. And that is sort of inefficiency. So it's critical to what we do to make sure that we understand not just the best price, but the reliability of the equipment to be where it's supposed to be when it's supposed to be there.
It's critical. And so I would imagine most people would love to be able to take advantage of this. So how much of the market are you covering right now? What's the potential for you, the growth potential for you going forward?
So we're around an era, but we're close to we're sub 100 million in terms of space. We have a $60 billion space domestically. But the way we actually architected our platform, we just came up with a new system that pushed out about 2 months ago. It doesn't just handle construction rental. The way it was architected was to be able to handle materials, labor, and so forth, because we had so many different price methods constructed. So our addressable market has just massively increased from 60 billion to 3 trillion. And so you can see the growth potential for our company by using our procurement algorithms are massive.
It's fascinating to be in an industry like that when you have that type of growth potential. I mean, that's very rare.
It is, and it's a decade of life lessons and learning what customers actually want. And when I took over 7 years ago, we were, like I mentioned earlier, a marketplace driven on driving traffic on Google Ads and relying on that. Today, 60-70% of our business is on larger mid-market and enterprise level accounts that come to us and give us a lot of their business. And the software that we use to manage our platform is going to be available soon to customers to use for themselves. And we're really terribly excited about that.
That's a huge step forward when companies are now independently able to monitor and manage all of this. It's a huge benefit for them. It's a huge benefit for you. So I mean that's a whole new business model that is coming to place then, right?
Yes, and procurement makes up, I want to say roughly 40-50% of construction is based on procurement. You're buying something, you have materials, people, or equipment to do a job. And there really is no platform that does it well. And, I see Excel spreadsheets, I see whiteboards with electric tape. I mean, it's crazy. And this goes back to my logistics time. When I entered the logistics space, it was just like that. In fact, the company I ran at one time had 24 pieces of electrical tape across the whiteboard that was as long as a room, and magnets for orders to throw from the next job step and so forth.
I know.
And by the time I was done there, I think 80% of transactions were automated, both on the inbound customer side, but then sourced and the entire life cycle of a shipment at that point was automated. We were only dealing with the edge case scenarios. And here it's kind of the same thing. We started very manual, a lot of paper, a lot of telephone calls, and over the number of years have whittled that down. So we're dealing with edge case scenarios, which are always going to be there. Customers are always going to have that one scenario you can't automate. But if you have a platform that can be used as effectively as it is for us, and we've done well over 500,000 rentals on the platform so far, to give those tools to other people, democratize it, let them use it themselves.
Is your marketing making an impact? Are you reaching the right audience? Is your messaging truly connecting? Are you maximizing your return on investment? At Slice Marketing, we use AI-powered insights to fine-tune your targeting, optimize your messaging, design high-converting websites, and craft content that inspires, entertains, and educates, or to amplify your brand's impact. Sometimes a small adjustment can create big results. Let's chat, no strings attached. Email us at catherine.oaks@slicemarketing.com or visit our website. And now let's get back to our video. And that's something they can leverage themselves for their own clients. I mean, that's a reference of efficiency right there.
We think so. And that pre-construction and being able to estimate more effectively to win more jobs, we think it's a massive upside for our customers.
For sure. So are most of your partners ISO 9001 certified? How does that work?
No, we are. But a lot of our customers have a quality platform, even if they don't call it ISO, and they do take it seriously. Even when you get down to the multi-generational business, these are well-run businesses. They understand the space quite well. Rental sounds easy. You got a piece of equipment, it just shows up. But in reality, it's actually quite complex, and it requires a significant amount of talent. It's also expensive machinery that gets broken, stolen, and it needs to be preserved at all costs.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that. So obviously you are utilizing technology very well. There's so much more technology coming our way. What's your plan here? I mean, are you always looking for new tech that can amplify what you are already doing? Quantum computing is going to come our way too. So what's your strategy in regards to incorporating additional tech?
My lead engineer told me a good story about you're building sandcastles, not real castles. Mm-hmm. And it sort of resonated is that, what we build today, 5, 6, 7, 8 years from now will probably likely be different. And I can't predict the future. I know quantum computing's coming. That's a little over my skis in terms of my capability to understand. We haven't, a lot of people talk about AI. We have AI. It's core to our system. It is what our system is built around. And a lot of times you see deployments, it's pretty underwhelming and oversold. It is what we do, and we have a practical use of the data to apply it to. We're going to leverage that to the extent we can, as long as we can. And that really is our short to midterm vision. Outside of that, there's opportunity for blockchain and within the space as it relates to transfer of payments and I guess chain of custody of equipment. Yeah. But that's future state, and I think it's a space probably open to it, because there is that threat of losing a several $100,000 piece of machinery to somebody you don't know.
Of course, I mean that's always there. Security, safety threat, yeah. But blockchain and payment with this type of currencies. I mean, I call them currencies because they're going to end up being currencies. That I think is going to change the way we do business too, and it's going to become mainstream. I think very fast. I really believe it's coming our way faster than we think.
I think so too. Yeah. And I think the way we've built our platform is we're going to be relatively open to additional technology. At the end of the day, technology is a tool. Yeah. It's no different than using a rake or a shovel or anything else. And it's about having the right tool to do the job. And we think with the system that we built today is the right tool to solve the problems that I identified earlier. But as we get through this and we solve those problems, there'll be more problems to solve.
Yeah, for sure. So as you embrace growth, are you thinking of hiring more AI agents, or are you thinking of hiring more humans? How does that look like?
What's interesting is our space, there's a stat that shows that construction, you look at the retail space, 60% of those jobs could be disrupted with AI.
Yeah.
right? That's pretty, everybody knows that case. But as you look at construction and facilities management, only about 6 to 7% of of jobs could be displaced by AI. You still need people to do the work. We don't have robots doing, being an electrician today. That's not likely to change in the short-term future, maybe long-term. And then those will be bigger problems for society to wrestle with. We have nothing to do, and the robots and AI do everything. But as we look, I'm hiring more engineers because I need engineers to write and use AI as a tool, just like I talked about technology, and it needs to be applied a certain way. And we're not hiring additional people from a customer service standpoint. A lot of that can be automated. I mean, the idea is to give people the software we use so that they don't have to call people, so that it's integrated with us, it's integrated with other partners, and they can have one common experience in a UI that works for them, and be able to manage all the rental and construction and logistics in one space.
Okay, well, good. I like that plan. Great. So, if a company is interested in leveraging your services, Scott, what's the process? Where do they start? Is there an analysis that they have to go through? Tell us about that.
No analysis that they need to do. We ingest job site data. So what we've done with a lot of our bigger customers is they've given us their actual job site information over a period of time. We're able to digest that and quickly, through our algorithms, tell them how they could have spent that money differently and save them money, potentially.
Okay.
I'll give you an example of a relatively large company shared with us $20 million. They spend $20 million a year on construction rental equipment. And we were able to cut that spend from 20 to 17.5. And so big savings.
Yep.
And then the same suppliers they use today, they would still use going forward, but the allocation of who to use and when to use changed. So instead of I always use this company because I know who they are and I'm going to use them, and they had thousands of people that basically place orders through it over the years. So that from a procurement standpoint, they can't control it. And by giving them one portal and one, the truth, basically, and what that's actually going to cost based on their own supplier information. So what we've been able to do is if the table was like the United States, we've created little graphs of where suppliers can and can't deliver based on what they tell us, but also learning our AI model and understanding what they really can and can't do, or what they will and won't do. And, we have a job site just, overlays a certain number of these shapes that are there, and it tells you who can deliver. And we quickly actually look at how they bill. Is it by zip code? Is it by distance tier? How do they basically determine that? And it gives somebody an all-in cost. And that's the one thing in construction, there's a lot of hidden things. You could have somebody give the cheapest day price or week price, but when it actually comes to the all-in cost, when you put in your transportation and your fuel and everything else, what is the actual cost to me? And there's so much lost opportunity there, and such inefficiency. A guy buys something today and he thinks he's going to get a bill for one thing, ends up getting a bill 2 months from now, and it's 40% higher.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. Obviously, it impacts your EBITDA, your profit margins, your survival too. I mean, you have to be able to have accounting that is accurate, and I can imagine that's a huge benefit for sure. Yeah, well, wonderful, great. So if someone wants to get hold of you, what's the best way to do it, Scott?
Well, they can go on our website, www.bigrentz, BIGRENTZ.com. There's a way to contact us on that if you're an enterprise level account or mid-market. We have a robust sales team. Obviously, anybody can always call me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm a pretty public profile and very accessible. I always answer telephone calls and emails and interest. And we have a good group of customer success managers that will take care of a customer. And it'll be more of a consultative approach. We don't want business that doesn't help us and help the customer. It's got to work for everybody. Of
course, I understand. Wonderful, great. So we've talked about the business, your background. So now I always ask my guests to share a story of resilience, obstacles they had to overcome, challenges that taught them an invaluable lesson. So what would that be for you, Scott?
Where do I start? Actually, I have if I had a tagline, I'd say resilience through strategic purpose. And you can't be successful in business unless you're highly resilient. I was talking to an investor, somebody on that's on our cap table the other day, and they were friendly with somebody that used to be my competitor in my former space. And when I sold that business, he called me and he said, I thought I had you killed 3 times. Like, I just thought you were just out of business. And I told him, I said, it was just my will versus yours. And he goes, that's the only thing that could basically describe it. So, I mean, I could give you 1,000 examples personally. We've all had challenges to overcome. It's, as we talked before we got on, it's a lot about attitude, and it's about seeing things. I personally had to deal with some health things, and I just don't think there's an option. You just have to keep moving forward. And, okay, we're at where we're at, and how do we get to where we want to go, and keep focused on that. And I think my own background, I played sports in college. I think that has a lot to do with success in life too, of being able to, have some failure, get stomped into the field, and want to get back up and do it all over again.
I agree with you, and that's exactly what I always share to everyone. The mind has capabilities that we have a tendency to undervalue. There's a lot we can do with just the will, and I've even heard people being completely cured because of the mindset that they had developed. And it's incredible what we can do. We just probably use about 2% of what we could actually do. So you're right, anything is possible. Never give up. Don't listen to naysayers. Keep pushing until you reach your goals, because really the sky is the limit. I've always believed that. So beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Scott.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much everyone for listening and for watching this video with Scott. And get hold of Scott, if you have a need for rentals, the type of solutions that he's offering, because he's really a leader in that industry. He's been doing this for a long time. That would definitely reduce your cost, improve your efficiency. Also, your brand value would be highly increased, because when people look at how you deal and how you do business and who you do business with, it makes a huge difference in your credibility. So share that video on your network. I would greatly appreciate it. Remember to subscribe to the channel. I could not do this without your help. I want to continue this as long as I can, because it helps everyone, and it's a network of people who help each other out. So we're here to make a collaborative effort to create this type of environment where we share what we do, so that we can grow together and create a better, stronger world. Thanks again, and we will see you next time.